It's 2 a.m. Your street is quiet. Your phone hasn't buzzed in hours. No boss, no deadline, no client waiting on a reply. You're doing absolutely nothing right now. Quick question, is your money doing anything either? For most people, the answer is no. The second they stop working, the money stops too. But somewhere else, right now, someone else is also asleep and their bank account doesn't care. A customer in Texas just bought their digital course. A company just deposited a dividend into their account. A tenant's rent just cleared. They didn't do anything tonight. Something they built did it for them. Here's a question worth sitting with. Do you own things that cost you money or things that pay you money? Because that's really the line between the middle class and the wealthy. One group buys things, the other group buys things that buy them more things. Most people spend years asking, how do I make more money? A smaller group asks a very different question. What can I own that keeps making money even when I stop? That single shift in thinking is the whole game. You only get 24 hours in a day. No overtime hack fixes that. You can't clone yourself. You can't sell the same hour twice. So if your income only comes from your time, there's always a ceiling on it, no matter how hard you work. People who build real wealth found a workaround years ago. Instead of stacking more hours, they started stacking assets. 1 became 2. 2 became 5, slowly, quietly, until their money was doing more work than they were. There's a line often credited to Warren Buffett. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. So today, let me share 7 assets that are working right now at 2 a.m. while most of the world is asleep. No lottery tickets, no overnight hacks, no get-rich-by-Friday nonsense. Just assets real people have used to build real wealth, slowly. Some need very little money to start. Some need patience. Some need a skill. But every one of them shares the same trait. Once it's built, it keeps producing, even on the nights you don't touch it. Let's start with the one almost anyone can start with tonight.
Number 1, index funds. Quick one. How many companies do you think you'd need to own to stop guessing which stock will explode next? With an index fund, the answer is hundreds in one single purchase. Apple, Nike, Starbucks, Visa, Microsoft, Costco. Every time someone buys a coffee, swipes a card, or opens a new laptop, a piece of that transaction quietly flows back to you. Not because you predicted it, but because you own a sliver of almost the whole system. Most beginners think investing means finding the next big winner, watching charts, guessing. That's not how most long-term wealth actually gets built. An index fund spreads your money across hundreds of companies at once. If one struggles, dozens of others are still growing. You're not betting on one company, you're betting on the economy itself moving forward. While you're asleep, factories are running, subscriptions are renewing, restaurants are serving, banks are lending. You own a tiny piece of all of it, so their growth becomes your growth. Here's the psychological trap most people fall into. Buying one exciting stock feels thrilling. Buying an index fund feels boring. But ask yourself, do you want your money to entertain you, or do you want it to actually grow? Picture 2 people. One spends every weekend trying to spot the next Tesla. The other quietly puts the same amount into an index fund every month for 20 years. No headlines, no panic. History keeps showing the same result. The second person usually ends up ahead. Not because they were smarter, because they let time do the work instead of trying to outsmart it. And here's the part most people get wrong. They think you need thousands of dollars to start. You don't. Plenty of platforms let you start with whatever you have. The amount matters far less than starting the habit, because every dollar you put in isn't just an investment. It's a tiny employee working for you around the clock, and it never asked for a raise. That's usually asset number 1 for a reason. Simple, boring, and quietly working while everyone else is asleep. But what if a company didn't just grow quietly? What if it paid you in cash just for holding on?
Number 2, dividend stocks. Ever get a rent check or know someone who does? Money shows up every month, and you didn't have to sell anything to get it. Dividend stocks work almost the same way, except instead of owning a building, you own a piece of a business. Some of the biggest companies in the world don't just grow in value, they also cut you a check, straight from their profits, just for holding your shares. You buy in. The business earns money. Months later, cash shows up in your account, while you were doing literally nothing. It's close to getting paid without clocking in. Now here's where most beginners slip up. The moment that dividend lands, they spend it. People who actually build wealth from this do the opposite. They reinvest it.
Every dividend buys a few more shares. Those shares produce their own dividends, which buy more shares. So ask yourself, would you rather spend that money today or let it quietly multiply over the next 10 years? That's compounding working two ways at once. Your investment grows, and the income it produces grows right alongside it. Think of it like planting a fruit tree. Year one, you barely get anything. A few years in, it's producing every season. Instead of eating every apple, you plant more trees with the ones you don't need. One tree becomes 5. 5 become 20. That's what dividend investing looks like if you leave it alone long enough. It's slow. It's quiet, which is exactly why most people underestimate it. The people who actually get wealthy from this aren't chasing a bigger paycheck. They're building an income stream that doesn't reset to zero every time they stop working. Every dividend is proof of one idea. Money can earn money, and eventually, it can earn enough that you stop needing to trade your hours for it. But stocks aren't the only things working while you sleep. Some of the most powerful assets today don't exist in the physical world at all, and one of them has turned nothing more than a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection into a full income. That's next.
Number 3, digital products. Create once, sell forever. Here's a question. Would you work 3 months for free with zero guarantee anyone pays you at the end? Most people say no immediately. That's exactly why most people never build this asset. Writing an ebook, designing a template, recording a course. Weeks of effort, no paycheck yet, no promise anyone buys it. We've been trained to expect money right after we work. Digital products break that rule completely. You do the work once, the product can sell 1,000 times after that. Say your template sells for $15. Sell it 40 times a month, and that's $600 from something you built once, months ago. At 2 a.m., someone in New York downloads it. At 3:15, someone in California buys another copy. By sunrise, someone in Florida grabs the course version. You weren't on a call. You weren't packing a box. You weren't refreshing your inbox. The product did the work. No warehouse, no inventory, no shipping label. The internet does all the heavy lifting. Here's the part people get wrong. They assume you need to be the world's best at something to sell it. You don't. You just need to know slightly more than the person you're helping. A student can sell study guides. A designer can sell templates. A trainer can sell workout plans. A teacher can sell worksheets. Even a spreadsheet can become an asset if it fixes a real headache for someone. People aren't paying for information. They're paying for a problem going away. Beginners waste months trying to make it perfect before launch. People who actually profit from this launch something useful first, then fix it as feedback comes in. Every digital product you build becomes a worker that never sleeps, never takes a sick day, and can serve someone in Tokyo and someone in Toronto at the exact same second. So, what's the one thing you already know that someone else would pay to shortcut? That question is worth sitting with, because the next asset takes that same idea and scales it into something bigger. Number 4, an online business. A machine that can run without you. Ask the average person how they make money, they'll tell you where they work. Ask someone wealthy, they'll tell you what they own. A job pays you for your time. A business pays you for the value it creates. Those are not the same thing. Let's be honest though, most businesses aren't passive, especially at the start. Long nights, mistakes, stress, problem solving, nobody skips that part. But here's the real goal, not to work forever, just to need less of yourself over time. Picture a coffee shop. Every sale only happens if you're standing behind the counter. Now picture an online store, or a piece of software, or a website earning ad revenue. Orders come in while you're asleep. Software keeps serving users without you clicking anything. Slowly, you stop being the worker and start being the owner. So ask yourself, right now, does your income need you physically present, or could it survive a week without you? That question alone separates a job from an asset. Think about Netflix, Spotify, Amazon. Millions of people buying, watching, listening every single hour. Sure, there are employees behind the scenes, but the system itself never clocks out. Your business doesn't need to become the next Amazon. It just needs to solve one problem, reliably, for the same people again and again. Here's the lesson most people miss. Owning a business isn't the same as becoming your own boss. The real goal is becoming unnecessary to it. The less it depends on you showing up, the more it's actually worth. Once that clicks, you stop asking, how do I do this task? And start asking, how does this get done without me in the room? That mindset shift is what actually turns a business into an asset. And there's one more asset that's been running on this exact same principle for centuries, long before the internet existed.
समझ गया? पूरा कंटेंट अब इंग्लिश में स्क्रिप्ट फॉर्मेट किया गया है, जैसा पहले के एसेट्स स्लैश सेक्शंस थे, कॉम्पैक्ट लाइंस और जीरो अननेसेसरी स्पेसिंग के साथ, ताकि 11 लैब्स V3 पर एक्स्ट्रा क्रेडिट्स बर्न ना हो। पॉजेज और कॉमास का परफेक्ट बैलेंस रखा गया है। नंबर 5, रेंटल रियल एस्टेट, बिल्डिंग वेल्थ विद अदर पीपल्स मनी। Think about how traditional real estate works. Instead of taking on a second job, you buy a property where a tenant's monthly rent pays off your mortgage. That creates 3 things at the exact same time. First, monthly cash flow, the profit left over after all expenses are paid. Second, a shrinking loan. Your debt decreases every single month without a dollar coming out of your own pocket. And third, appreciation. Over time, the value of the property and the land beneath it continues to rise. Now for the reality check that social media rarely talks about. Real estate isn't passive on day one. It's a business. A leaking roof, a broken AC, or unexpected repairs can quickly eat into your profits. That's why serious investors eventually hire a property manager, so the asset stops depending on their personal time. Look at the 20-year vision. If you buy a property in your 30s, it might only break even at first. But by the time you reach your 50s, the mortgage is nearly wiped out. Rent prices have increased significantly and the property's overall value has multiplied. Real estate requires capital and responsibility, but the core principle never changes. Build or buy the asset today so it pays you for decades to come. And while real estate builds physical wealth, the next asset lets you build scalable wealth without ever owning a piece of land. Number 6, intellectual property, effort once, income repeatedly. In a normal job, you trade your time once and you get paid once. Intellectual property changes that equation entirely. Whether it's books, code, software, music, or patents, you do the work one time and it has the potential to pay you for years. Look at how this plays out in the real world. Take a book or specialized guide. You spend a year writing it. Sales might be slow at first, but 3 years later, word of mouth keeps selling copies while you sleep, without you having to rewrite a single page. Or consider software. A developer builds an app once. If 1,000 users pay a $5 monthly subscription, that's $5,000 in recurring revenue every month, without rebuilding the product from scratch. Here's a question worth sitting with. If you stopped working completely today, what do you own that would keep paying you for the next 5 years? For most people, the answer is nothing, and intellectual property is one of the most effective solutions to that exact problem.
Number 7, your personal brand, the uncopyable asset. 2 people sell the exact same product at the exact same price. One barely sells, the other sells out in hours. The difference isn't the product, it's trust. You're not just buying the item, you're buying the person who recommended it. Nobody can copy who you are. People can copy a strategy, a design, or a business model, but nobody can copy your voice, your story, or your reputation. That's what makes a personal brand completely uncopyable. If you post consistently for a year, even 5,000 real followers can bring brand deals, opportunities, and customers who trust you before you've even sold them anything. 1,000 people who actually trust you beat 100,000 who don't even know your name. The real Pattern 7 assets. 1 core idea, separating your income from your time. Most people ask, what do I do today to get paid? People who build wealth ask, which of my assets are already working for me today? 1 asset becomes 2. If one slows down, the others hold it up. That's the entire secret. Imagine checking your phone a year from now on a random Saturday. An index fund grew a little. A dividend landed. Someone downloaded your template. None of it happened because you worked that night. It happened because you built it earlier. So, what is your money doing right now, at this exact second? If the answer is nothing, that's not a failure. That's just where everyone starts. The only real difference between people is who actually decides to start building. If this shifted how you think about money, subscribe, because in the next video, we build asset number 1, step by step, completely from zero.